Roll call in.
Commissioner Candy.
Lead us in prayer in the pledge.
Bow your heads with me. Darling Father, Lord, we just thank you for this wonderful day. Lord, we just thank you for the many blessings that you bestowed upon this community. Lord, we just pray for rain. We just pray for it to pour down on our community in slow pace that it won't run off and absorb in. Lord, I just pray that you would lead and guide this council in a way that would be pleasing to you and beneficial to our citizens and our staff. Lord, again, I just thank you for the opportunity to serve this community. Lord, I just thank you for this free country that we live in. Lord, we just pray for our armed forces. Lord, we just pray for protection over them. Keep them safe and bring them home. Lord, we just pray for our EMT and our police department. Keep them safe during the many different situations that they're placed in. Lord, we just thank you for our staff, their families. Lord, we just pray blessings upon them. Again, Lord, we just thank you for this wonderful place we call home. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, and the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Thank you. Almost sounded like a choir tonight.
It did. We did all this harmony.
All right, roll call, Anna. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm jumping the gun. I'm all here all excited. Okay. Approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Consideration of minutes of May 29, 2018.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Commissioner staff report. Wyatt.
Mayor and fellow commissioners, only thing I do have to report is that the air conditioners on the theater were installed and up and running on Friday, I believe. And everything, talked to Star this morning, everything is up and running, box holder, and that's the only thing.
Good. Yeah.
That's all that I have.
You can tell now that you mentioned it.
That's it.
Everything doing good at the well sites and so forth out there?
The well sites, yes, we actually got a little more information on the restrictions with City of Hobbs and kind of what they're doing. And I believe James is going to be presenting that. But other than that, we are still, all of our wells are up and active, still pumping. I know the company started today flushing and getting the readings for our fire hydrants, so you might see that around town, a little bit of the flushing and getting the readings for this year's fire hydrant services.
I agree.
Speaking of water, your thoughts on the? Did you see the front page story of the Albany Sunday?
No, I did not.
Take a look at that. Texas water, New Mexico water.
I did see an article. I didn't read all of it, but I did see the difference of what they're.
Pretty interesting article. Take a look at it when you get a chance.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? Here, please.
Mayor and Commission, I have nothing to report.
Okay. It will be a short meeting.
Any other discussion? Here?
See how it works every time.
Brianna?
Nothing to report, sir.
Thank you. Anna?
Nothing, sir.
Nothing to report.
It is going to be a short meeting.
Commissioner Bernard.
I just want to give the city and James staff thumbs up for last Monday night's opening at the park movie. It was awesome, you know. Sound system went a little crazy, but we made it through it, and it was a good turnout. It was super. And I was also, I guess I purchased to James or Wyatt, at the pool. It's kind of dark out there. I was out there last night, you know, at the party, and I was wondering, is there any way we can kind of get that thing lit up a little bit more? We have several lights that are out.
Okay, we'll check.
And just kind of looking at that. That's all.
That's it. Thank you. The only question I had, James, just let the public know when our next Main Street road construction is projected to, when that meeting is?
Yes, sir.
Because I know it's been bouncing around on the date still. That way maybe we can get a good crowd and see what the response is.
Well, if I may, Mayor, we haven't heard anything back from WH Pacific as far as a date on that meeting. So we're still waiting for them. They did tell us they would like to have one before the end of June. And I know that we told them let us know in advance, well in advance, so that way we can push it out so we can get more public participation at the meeting.
Thank you. Commissioner Collins.
I didn't have anything, thank you.
Commissioner Gainey.
Silly request. I know on, what is it, W105, they do the pledge? I think we record this because every
Okay.
morning on 105,
Yeah.
the city of Lovington.
Yeah, that one, because today it sounded good.
Yeah,
We-
they would have been great.
Everybody must have got some rest over the weekend or something.
They're always asking for silly, or not for silly, for people saying the pledge, and we say it every meeting, so
Yeah,
that'd be
I think-
great, might as well.
Yeah, well, Chief Davis carried a good baritone on that one. Chief Davis.
Nothing.
Chief Ross, sorry.
Nothing to report, sir.
James?
Yes, sir. Mayor, Commissioners, to follow up on what Commissioner Butcher had mentioned, our, I guess, Summer of Lovington kickoff event to really serve to kick off what our auxiliary organizations are doing, but also to drive registration for our summer reading program at the library and our youth center program. We were estimating we have between 600 and 700 people out there at the park, basically from 5 until about 10 o'clock at night. I know that we were looking at the sound system on the movie. It did seem a little quiet, so we're just making sure that we don't have a short in one of our cables. I know that I had a decibel meter out there, but I don't know if it was just the sheer number of people we had out there for that particular event. But we are planning more summer events, and we think that this is going to turn into an annual thing because it was very well received by the community, and the community was just really excited about it. And I believe Melinda is going to speak here during public comment about it. Also, as far as the water conservation, in looking at it, to be honest, the watering period of 5:30 to 10 o'clock at night, it's really not, I guess you would say, water-wise or feasible. We would like to change that to where we would have the option to either water at from 4 to 8 or 4 to 7 in the morning, and then from 7 to 11 at night, one time. Same odd number, even number address. In order to do that, we need to change the ordinance. So consulting with Patrick, we can start that process, but in the meantime, what we're going to do is just ask for voluntary compliance from our public. We're putting together a little water conservation tips, and this is the proposed schedule we would like everybody to follow just to help to conserve water. And by the next conservation period next year, we should have a new ordinance in effect. But really just, I guess you could say this is a warm-up and a practice period for everybody to get used to, you know, some really good water conservation efforts. But we'll have something to commission within the next month or two as far as the ordinance changes. Smoking on the Plaza, of course, is this weekend. We have several street closures that we are publishing in the newspaper, and we pushed out on our website and social media. As far as road closures, that will begin on Thursday and will end at Saturday at midnight. The actual event starts first thing in the morning on that Friday. So come on down. We're talking about closure of Main Street, DOT approved with the traffic plan, basically from Avenue B to Central. Love Street from Avenue B to Central. There will be the alleyway between the library and Central will still be open to accommodate a couple of the dentist and the accountant. However, it'll be closed to through traffic. And then, of course, Avenue A starting on 1st Street all the way to Love Street. Those roads will be closed. Our drive-through will be closed on Friday morning, and we're just asking that citizens park on Avenue B because there won't be any outlet for traffic to park directly in front of City Hall, especially once that event starts. And we want to make sure we keep the lanes clear for fire and police. We also, just to kind of follow up on Wyatt's comment about the air conditioners, I went in actually this morning and then later this afternoon when it was 101, and it was believe it or not, it's weird to say this, but it was a cool 75 degrees in the theater, which was just absolutely great and very, very quiet. So that system's working really good. It'll be a lot more comfortable, especially during our previous two summer movies that we do on Wednesdays. We've had those sponsorships that Star mentioned at the last commission meeting that allows us to do a movie for free to the public twice on Wednesdays, once at 2 and once in the evening at 7. And pleased to report that all of those shows have sold out. So it's being well received by the public. They are supporting the theaters. So we're actually running right where we projected and actually doing a little bit better than what we had actually projected on the pro forma. And that's all I have to report, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hey, James, I had a quick question back on the watering.
Yes.
I know you were saying something about even and odd days or something like that on addresses or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Because most people's programs are set up where it's like Monday through Sunday. Can you do like a Monday, Tuesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, something like that? Because their programmers going to be easier to do that than set it up where it's on odd and even days. Does that make sense?
We can definitely, I've
Might be
actually
something
been
we need to
approached.
look at.
Yes, I'm trying to figure out to where everybody gets equal benefit, but we can definitely come up with some scenarios that would work, because my mom's sprinkler system, it works the same way. It's a day of the week. It doesn't work on the actual numeric date, but we can definitely look at that to make sure that we're hitting those targets.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Patrick?
Nothing to report, sir.
Thank you. Okay, going on to public comment. Go ahead, Dave.
Hi, Betty Price. I'm talking about the proclamation that they're wanting to impose. I don't have a problem with it. I have done it several times. But my problem is, every year that we've done it, it's always been in May when you've done the proclamation. Never after June the 1st. And I have already ordered fireworks because you didn't do it in May. And I'm looking at $7,000 to $8,000 worth of fireworks that I've ordered. And they will include things that will be banned if you go ahead and do this. The county has not placed a ban. None of the other towns around us have placed bans. Hobbs runs on a different system. They do safe and sane. So Texas has not done bans. So if we ban it here, they'll just go to Texas and get it and bring it back. That is my biggest thing. And like I said, it's not going to hurt Mr. W because they're a big company. Me, I buy them out myself through a company, but I have to still sell them one way or the other, or I'm stuck with it. They don't buy them back from me like the other companies do. So I'm stuck with whatever I can't sell because I've already ordered it. Because like I said, the bans have always been 20 days before we could start selling fireworks. Fireworks sales starts June 20th. And my fireworks will be in tomorrow or Wednesday. So that puts a big crunch on me. Like I said, it's not going to hurt Mr. W or TNT if they come out because they're their own companies. I know we've got rain. I know we'll have more rain. So placing a ban that's just going to benefit someone else, because like I said, they'll go to Texas and buy them and bring them back over here. And I like how to consider that. I know there is a drought, but like I said, we've had rain. I don't see their drought monitor changing. And like I said, I've done it. I've done it where we've had droughts and not sold certain fireworks. But it's always been before June the 1st. And this year it's June 11th, and in a few more days, we start selling. And like I said, I've already ordered because I always order June the 5th. Every year. And from the same company, so they know what my order is. And if it's in a drought year, I order not that stuff. But this year there was no drought placed by the end of May. So I ordered just like any other year that there's no ballot. But I'd just like y'all to consider that.
So Betty, what you're asking, so next year when we make a decision on that, you're suggesting we do it in May?
Yes, because it's
what date of May?
The law, how it reads, can be read two different ways. It says 20 days before
Well, I'm just saying, if it's 20 days in June, then you need, what, 30-day period to order your product?
Mhm.
So we'd probably look at maybe May 15th, or
By the end of May, if it's done by the end of May before the 1st of June, if it's always done then, I don't have a problem with it. This year, it lasted too long. And I kept thinking, well, we got rain, we've got rain. I know my place has still got rain from the last rain. And I know out here, there's several places that still show moisture. But every year, it's always 20 to 30 days before the date of sales starts is when y'all have enacted a ban. And like I said, sales starts every year, June the 20th. It never changes. And it's for 2 weeks. Every year.
And I always understand, Betty, we always take public safety first.
I do too. I really do. And I wouldn't mind not selling some of the stuff that I have. But that's not going to stop TNT or Mr. W from doing it. Because I've seen them do it before. It's not going to stop the places in Lubbock, Plains, Seminole from selling it and bringing it right back over here. It's just going to stop me. And really, that's kind of monopolizing the sales when I'm the only one that gets punished for it because I'm not a big company. And that's my biggest concern is I'm the only one that's here to fight about fireworks, but everybody else benefits from it.
I think before we placed the ban early and then we lifted it prior to.
Yeah, if we've had rain, we've lifted it prior to it.
So I think next year we ought to just place the ban and lift it. Wouldn't that be easier, Patrick, to place the ban?
You have to lift it 30 days.
Oh, it still has to be 30 days before the sale, or how does that work? I know we've lifted it before. We've placed the ban and we turned around and lifted it. I know we've done that, but I don't know the process.
Actually, Mayor and Commissioners, it's not really a choice. It's based on the drought index.
Oh, okay.
And Chief Lizardo will go over the data with you. We just can't enact the ban without having
The state.
the weather conditions and the data to support that.
Okay. They make that decision. Okay, I understand. Okay. So yeah, it's based on the data. The weight's off us.
Yeah, but the data has showed that we've had no moisture. And I know we've had rain, and I know we'll have more rain before the 4th of July. And like I said, sales start June 20th, which is only a few days away.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Anybody else?
Hi, and so I just wanted to go ahead and thank everybody that helped with the kickoff last Monday at the park, and it was a really big success. And so those that helped were the library staff, Dennis and George and their crew at Parks and Rec, James and some of the girls at City Hall went and volunteered, Lovington Main Street, Lovington EDC, the Chamber, Cristobal, who helps everywhere and anywhere she is needed. And to anyone else that I missed, the youth center staff and the volunteers that all helped make it all come together. But I also wanted to give a huge shout out to Eugene Sanchez and BMA Rentals. He had set this up to cook hamburgers for me at the youth center. When I told him it was going to be moved to the park, he didn't bat an eye, and I said, probably about 400 burgers and 400 hot dogs. And so after we finished the kickoff, he says, okay, so next year we'll either double it or even triple it if we have to. So he's ready to go on for next year. And to Holly Frontier and Debbie Bell, who not only helped with our programs, both the library and the youth centers, but also took time and met with us and came and took pictures and donated gift cards and helped with tents and other setup for that event. And so we're hoping to continue it next year, make it bigger and better. Everyone seems to enjoy it, and so I just wanted to give everybody a big thank you for it.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Like James said earlier, Smoking on the Plaza is this weekend. Street closure will start Thursday, and we're very thankful for all the help the city does. Fire department, police department, the county, everyone really comes together to be able to put this off. We have 2 new events this year. We're gonna have a little girl's beauty pageant. The costume theme is barbecue. And then the other additional event is gonna be cornhole. We're still gonna have the kids barbecue cook-off. That's sponsored by Bob's Thriftway. We have Holly French here that's done a lot of help. So really is a community effort, and we really hope to see all you guys there. Like always, we need judges for the kids queue and for Saturday. And James is gonna be competing this year, so maybe y'all can tell us if his barbecue is that great. All right, guys.
So it's not a culinary delight, is it?
It might be a culinary delight.
But we really do hope to see you guys there. You know, a couple of you have already agreed to judge. We still have spots available, so let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mata. Appreciate you.
Anybody else? Okay. Moving forward to non-action items. James?
Sorry, I forgot my mouse. So, Mayor and Commissioners, actually, Mara is going to help, I guess, kind of tag team this on behalf of Main Street. But we've been approached by several citizens, as well as Main Street, and identified in our downtown master plan as far as vacant buildings. We get numerous complaints from individuals wanting to know what can we do as a city about vacant buildings, because they detract from the appearance of our Main Street area as well as other areas within the city, or what we call a retail zone. It's a negative image, abandoned buildings. It's a problem that main streets across the United States have seen. You don't see the traditional Main Street that we encountered, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, or even 50 years ago. Because of new development, people wanting larger space, you see them moving out into different areas. But also, when you have that vacant building, we often see that they're neglected, which can lead to increased costs for somebody to come in and restore that building or even make it occupiable. And a vacant building tax really isn't feasible. In order to even have that tax, you've got to have some type of service. It's been tried in several communities. It really does not work. And some have questioned whether or not it's actually legal or not. So some of the other communities that we've looked at throughout New Mexico, as well as some other states that we've seen, is what they call an urban nuisance code is one approach that we take to discuss this. It prevents urban blight throughout your different areas. Of course, it inspires pride and respect from not only the building owner, but the community. You see somebody working on something to try to improve its appearance, and you can see that other people will follow suit the majority of the time. It'll help maintain those property values as well as hopefully improve them, and it's going to encourage preservation of those assets. So what an urban nuisance code does is it establishes certain maintenance requirements, such as it's got to be safe, it's got to be presentable in an attractive manner that fits in with the characteristic of the area. It limits the amount of damage to the structure. Some of them say you can't have more than 10% of the total exterior surface with peeling paint or other deteriorating parts like facades. It addresses, of course, weeds, trash, and debris. Regular maintenance of landscaping, window coverings, what materials are actually permissible, and then, of course, roof maintenance as well. In addition to that, we've had complaints about the number of billboards going up throughout the community, and we're really concerned about preserving our historic downtown area. But this would actually implement or restrict additional requirements for the installation of commercial billboards that aren't actually advertising the on-site premises. And also maybe even exclude certain areas throughout the community where you could not actually place a billboard. Well, that being said, this is actually affecting, if Commission gives the general direction tonight or at a later time to move forward with this, this is affecting an individual's ability to do what they want to with their property. So what we're talking about is zoning as well. So it would require a change in zoning code, and of course, going through this process, we would want to go through the Planning and Zoning Commission to have plenty of opportunity for public input to change that particular ordinance. Whether it's a new chapter or even look at maybe developing a new zone outside of the 4 zones that we have and just have a retail or economic zone, which would encompass, Main Street, Avenue D. But really before this can potentially be a pretty comprehensive task, and before we even bring this, I wanted to have discussion with Commission to get your thoughts and opinions. Is this something that you would like to see the community move forward with? Because this is going to take some time and staff, but at the same time, we do need the direction so we know what we can tell the citizens who do come by or call or email and complain about the vacant buildings that we do have in our community.
Quick question. So let's say somebody's not in compliance. What is the process involved there, James?
Very similar to a zoning issue. One of the examples was you could run it through the municipal court system, or you could actually issue and conduct abatements to where if there are broken windows they refuse to repair. After sufficient notice, we would, the city, meaning we would go in, we would repair it, we would bill the owner for the cost, and if they refuse to pay, then we would file a lien on the property.
Okay. I like the idea.
Any other discussion? Do you have more to add to that? Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
What other communities are doing something similar to this right now?
I believe one off the top of my, let's let Mara.
Thank you.
Hi. So there's actually a couple of communities that are looking into creating a Main Street district in order to do zoning like this. Carlsbad and Artesia are 2 of them right now. Silver City has already enacted one, so has Raton. One that's looking into it right now and they're currently working on it is Alamogordo. They approved it. It was Landmark actually tried to fight it in the city of Alamogordo. They did not win, and the city is able to enact zoning requirements like this. Theirs was a little bit more strict, and I think that's why Landmark was so upset about it. They were saying no more billboards, completely no, and they had to be removed within the 5 years when they enacted that. So it was really strict, and that's not something we're looking to do. We really do want to be able to work with the community and come up with a good compromise. The biggest reason, as James said, it really does hurt our downtown. And we're really trying to instill that Lovington pride and bring that back into the community. And it's really difficult when we have people that are doing stuff and some people that aren't. One of the big things that Main Street does offer for the Main Street District is a facade grant. It's a matching $2,500 grant that could only be used towards the exterior of your business. And last year we actually had 5 private businesses that were able to take in that, and they loved it. They've already called me like 5 times, when are you opening it up for this year? So, and then we had a couple of other businesses that once they saw that those were getting fixed up, they also wanted to fix theirs up. So it really is a domino effect, like James was saying. Kind of it on my part, I guess.
Well, we always hear from the community, why didn't the city do something about the downtown area? And we've never had the ability, the mechanism in place. So maybe with this, we would. So I'm like,
the one in Silver City, can you describe theirs a little better?
Theirs was a vacant one, honestly, and it's not working very well because of that. They don't have the staff required to enforce vacant building ordinances. So that's why they've been struggling with it. And theirs is, if your building is vacant and it can cause fire damage, then they go in and they fine you. If we lived in my dream world, our code would look a lot like San Antonio's. That's the reason why their downtown, the Riverwalk area, looks as pretty as it does, is they have a very different zoning in that whole area that requires specific architect, specific signage, all that kind of stuff. And I know that, again, that's going into the extreme. We're asking for just compromise and being able to enforce some of these things just to make it look better.
Any other questions?
Well, I have, like, on these people that own these buildings, the out-of-town people that are out of town, could we, I know we've talked about it before, that we were going to fine them or tell them to fix up the place or have utilities on them, but if they don't do it, could we do something about it. I mean, I know we tried to do it a long time ago, but we haven't really.
Go ahead, Jim.
Mayor Commissioner Sanchez, this is kind of why we're having this discussion, because right now the only way that we would have any ability to go in and take care of a building is to condemn it. And the vacant buildings that we do have, they really don't meet those standards to actually condemn them. This is basically designed, or the intent of something like this, if we do get direction to move forward and explore it, is, you know, these are the minimum criteria, so we would have the ability to address this with those vacant landlords that we do have.
I'm all for it.
Whether they live out of state or not.
Right.
It just applies across the board.
What's that?
I was gonna say, I don't think it's directed solely at landlords that do not live in the city of
Sure,
Lovington.
sure.
It's across the board.
Yes.
Yeah, whoever's got these buildings that are vacant, they need to do something with it. You know, keep them up.
And the worst case scenario is could be like the builder received, what is that called, quick claim deed, you know.
And then yes, sir.
Here's your treasure. So, I mean, it does give us a little more control that way, but sometimes it's not worth the control. So, but there's that option that's happened to us before.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. We own it.
Yeah.
We own it.
Yeah, we own it. Good.
Thank you, Mike. James, did you have anything?
No, sir. Honestly, I guess we can maybe put something forth and have a couple of meetings with our planning and zoning just to explore it, if they're up their ideas, and bring something back to commission to see if this is something that we would like to go ahead and proceed with. Get some ideas on paper for you.
Sounds great.
Go ahead.
I would just say, I would just like to, if you guys are on board with it, go ahead and proceed with it. I think it's a great idea. Yeah?
Well, I think James said he's going to go ahead.
Okay. We hadn't given extra direction.
What kind of what kind of financial cost and take some of this is going to require on some of the just buildings we have here locally?
Mayor, Commissioners, honestly, I don't know that that's something that we can definitely look at and just take some estimates.
Any other discussion? Moving forward to.
Just one.
Yes, go ahead.
One question for you. A while ago you mentioned that, I think it's associated where they won. Where was this one at? Around the border.
In their downtown, because they did a new, and it has been approved actually, a new planning zone, I guess, zoning ordinance, and it specifically said double deckers, which are the really big ones, had to be removed within like a year of them giving that notice, and then the rest of them had to be removed within 5 years, and then after that, no, like there couldn't be any more billboards.
Yeah, I was just wondering, you said, was this one in court? Did it make it to court? Which was district court?
A district court. And then after, when it went, I called the Main Street director in Alamogordo to ask what had happened. And he said that once they got to court, they were like, okay, well, the city can enforce any ordinance, zoning ordinance that they want to, as long as it's been approved and goes through the process.
Okay.
So then
we do have precedent in New Mexico.
Yes.
Regarding this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys good? All right. Moving on to action items. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to go.
We go to close session.
Resolution 218-46, award of RPF for lease of city property located on Highway 18.
Second. Have a motion and second. James?
Mayor, Commissioners, we did release an RFP. I don't know if I didn't put a picture, but there is a picture in your packet with the RFP documents for the 5-acre caliche pad we have located just to the south of Key Energy. We did receive one response on this particular bid for, I believe it was, the name of the company. Let me get this right. There's been so many. Pure Energy Plex Service. It's a trucking company. They have offered $550 a month in lease payments. I know that in our RFP, we did put a minimum bid of $750 a month for the first year, and then years 2 through 5 would be $1,000 per month. In the staff summary, and if you do recall, we have entered into a lease one time for this, and the property owner failed to basically uphold their end. They never really developed the property, and then they stopped making lease payments, so we terminated that lease. We also did attempt to sell the property, but the buyer of the property wound up not producing the documents that were required of him in an adequate amount of time, and basically we went our separate ways with that deal. In our RFPs, we do have the clause in there that the commission may waive any irregularities it deems in the best interests of the city. This does have the ability to bring more jobs within the city, even though as far as support personnel on the site, it is located in the city limits. There is potential for some GRT and development of basically a vacant 5-acre parcel of land. It's our recommendation that we go ahead and award the RFP if the commission feels that it's in the best interest of the city to Pure Energy.
In discussion? And your recommendation is $500 per month?
The $550 per month.
Okay.
Yes,
Is it a local company, James?
Yeah, yes, sir. I don't remember exactly where they were based now, but
Do we have
in Hobbs. They were in Hobbs, yes, sir.
Okay.
Do we have a certain amount of period that we're going to put them on a contract with?
This would be a 5-year lease. It'd be $550. There is an option to renew. I know in discussions with this particular individual, they did, when they were talking with the EDC, they did want to purchase. But we did explain the purchase process, and they opted to go for this lease. At this time, they would like to develop the property with the potential to purchase in the future, and as we told them, we can't enter into an agreement like that. If you make those developments and decide that later on you would like to purchase it, you would need to terminate that lease, and then we'd have to go to a competitive, an RFP process again, and there's no guarantee, absolutely no guarantee that they would get that property. So they are satisfied with leasing for right now.
And is that money is going to go back into the general, or?
Yes, sir, it would go into the general fund, yes, sir.
On that resolution, do we need to change to name the party, or
We would just, I believe the resolution, I believe we listed in that resolution who it is awarded to, and at the term specified.
Okay, term specified. Okay. We have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, yes. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2018-17, fiscal year 2019 meeting and holidays.
Not 17. 47.
Oh,
47
I can't read, so.
are official holidays. Nothing major, no changes, same thing as every year. Any questions?
Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to consider resolution 2018-48, approving a proclamation declaring extreme or severe drought conditions and issuing fireworks restrictions within the city of Lovington, Lee County, New Mexico.
Mayor and Commissioners,
Hang on.
I'm sorry.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Go ahead, Chief.
All right, sorry. Mayor and Commissioners, this is, we're asking to do this proclamation based on the current weather trends, and one of the main reasons for it is that we are in a severe drought currently. As of, all right, so according to the New Mexico or NMSA 60-2C-8.1, it says that we can declare it in extreme or severe drought conditions 20 days prior to the holiday for which the fireworks can be sold. This proclamation does explain the different types of fireworks that are restricted in that proclamation, which are your missile-type rockets, any helicopters, aerial spinners, stick-type rockets, and ground audible devices within the affected drought area. Currently, or as of May 29th, they had us in a severe drought, severe to extreme in our area. And currently, or the last measurement that we had seen prior to tonight was showing us at a negative 3.06, which the drought Palmer index is just right there at the beginning of severe. As of about 10 minutes ago, they updated the drought Palmer index. We're actually at a negative 3.19. Even though we did get rain after the 2nd or on the 3rd, with this 100-degree weather, it has dried things out severely. So this is the reasoning behind that. Also, it allows, already did that one too. Effective for 30 days, this proclamation. It can be rescinded by the city commission in more than different ways. It does allow for cones, cone fireworks, crackling devices, cylinder fountains, flitters, sparklers, ground spinners, illuminated torches, basically the safe and sane type of fireworks as well. It does allow us to use the public display per the city. Like I said, the proclamation will be effective for 30 days, and it can be rescinded. So in the event that it does get any better, which I've been monitoring weekly, so if it does go better, if it does get better, I will definitely come back to you and let y'all know.
Can you go back one slide, Chief? It says it must be in paved or barren areas, is that correct?
Yes.
So we tell them to go out to the middle of the street and do it?
Well, and they have been doing them out in the middle of the street and out of the grassy areas, so.
I was just curious.
For the most part.
Do we have we don't have another meeting prior to the 4th, do we?
No, sir. The way state law reads is that we can actually, to rescind this, we can conduct an emergency hearing, which an emergency hearing per our Open Meetings Act resolution and also the Open Meetings Act rule, it says that for emergency meetings, you just have to publish you have to provide notice of the meeting 24 hours in advance. And within 10 days after that, you have to notify the AG's office that you had the emergency meeting. So realistically, the only other meeting that we would have before July 4th would be the 25th of June. And if I may, to address Ms. Price's comments, I know that in the past, we have always tried to enact the drought proclamation as early as possible. But you can see from the data, we've been monitoring this since April, just trying to accommodate that, because we know that, the interpretation is that you have to enact the ban 20 days prior to the holiday. But we know that for like July 4th, you can sell from June 20th to July 6th. So we try to work with everybody. However, the data didn't support it. You have to be at a negative 3+ on the Palmer Index, which is the recognized drought monitor by the National Weather Service and most importantly the state of New Mexico that indicates this. It wasn't until the report on June 2nd, which showed the negative 3.06, which actually kicked us over into a severe drought. Chief and I, we went ahead and put this on the agenda, and we were actually hopeful that the rainfall that we received last Saturday and Sunday was going to lower that down, and then basically even if we fell back into a severe drought, there wouldn't be anything we could do. However, we've been looking at this all day, and it wasn't until about 10 minutes prior to this that this popped up that actually the drought increased. So either side, or worsened, I guess you would say, either side, you can look at it that, from a fireman's standpoint, we say, yes, okay, this really isn't a good index until the data actually shows that we're in a severe drought. It doesn't take into account fuel loads, fuel moisture. It's really based on your soil soil content as far as humidity. And from a vendor standpoint, it's the same thing. So one thing that we can look at, I know we're expecting some more rain this weekend. It may actually reduce that drought. But really, this is, we have to provide this to the commission. So in the event we do come out of that drought, and Chief is looking at it, unfortunately, the indices doesn't get updated until they take the readings on a Saturday, and then, well, 6 o'clock on the following Monday, they release it. Should we do that, we can call for a special or an emergency meeting to rescind it if we do fall below that severe, if the commission does decide to enact the drought proclamation tonight.
And that is your recommendation, James and Chief?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I think it's only appropriate that we do so. But also, Betty, I'm good to go for a quick meeting, 24 hours in advance on that to change that. I'd rather put public safety first. I'm not too concerned about what other communities have to say, but if somebody's home burns down and someone perishes, then I don't want it to be on me. I hate to say it like that, but I'll be blunt with that.
I just don't understand why we had
Mr. Gaines?
I don't understand why we had such a huge gap during the period in which we had rain, and then we dropped so significantly. Before that, we had no rain. We should have already been there. We haven't had rain in 8 months.
Nothing to do with the temperature?
I think a lot of it has to do with the high temperatures that we've been having and the relative humidity being as low as it has been. Even at night, it's still not coming back up.
It's kind of cool at night. Yeah, that's what it was, because it's cool now. With the humidity increased the heat at night. It's warmer at night now.
And we're planning on implementing that on even those big companies too, the sale of the fireworks or
No,
yes.
Everybody in town, within the city limits.
Yes, sir.
so she's not gonna be alone.
No, sir. It's also something else I'd like to note is that the state fire or the state forester also restricted firework use on all state lands as well. So that was also a restriction that was implemented.
Yes, sir.
So, Mayor, Commissioners, there is one other thing to take into consideration. So, one of the questions that was posed to me by James before we got started at the meeting, I went back and took a look. You know, we were looking at the 20 days prior to a holiday. And so, when you go back and take a look at, you know, the holiday, we look at it and say, well, that's July the 4th. It's pretty obvious, but it's not. So when you go back and take a look at the statute that identifies the holidays, permissible fireworks may be sold at retail sales or at retail between, it goes through and lists a number of dates and specific days that are on there. And so it lists June 20th and July 6th. So it says it can be sold between those days. It doesn't necessarily identify it as July the 4th. Fireworks may be sold. There is a pretty good argument to be made that that holiday, at least not as we see it as July the 4th or Cinco de Mayo or something else on a specific day, but it's identified in this same section of the statute as the time between June 20 and July 6th. And so I think you need to take that into consideration, especially if we have had a history of looking at it on a certain day and giving vendors an opportunity to decide what to do and not do. Is it absolutely clear? No. That's part of the reason I have my job, is because the legislature puts it together and they don't say it must be 20 days before this absolute clear-cut day. So somebody could read this and say, well, according to this, the holiday that's coming up is June 20th to July 6th, because that's what the statute identifies. Somebody else could look at it, a judge, and say, well, the holiday is actually July 4th. So it's not absolutely clear. I ran it by the rest of the office, and their interpretation of it was that holiday would be the 20th through the 6th. So doesn't say it's not a drought condition, does not say that it's not going to start a fire. That's my interpretation on how to read that. So.
Yeah, it looks like they're not talking about actual holidays, they're just talking about times and dates when people are more prone to use fireworks.
Well, not prone to necessarily, but allowed to, when they're allowed to be sold and used under the statutes. I know it contradicts exactly what the fire chief is saying, and I live in an area that's very susceptible to wildland fires, so it doesn't make me happy either. I certainly wouldn't want to encourage that, but I think looking at the state statute, that's how I view it.
Betty, do you sell fireworks for Cinco de Mayo or September the 16th?
I've done it before. It's just, it's hard because it's during the school year.
Yeah.
And you can only do it from 1 o'clock in the morning till midnight of that day. And everybody's at work because it's always during the week. But I have done it on the holidays. And it even states in there that it's on the extreme and severe droughts. It still has to be done, like I said, before the 20th, because that's our time zone. It states on our firework permit that I have to purchase from the state the days that I can sell. And that's the days that are allowed to sell and use.
Interesting. All right, thank you.
Yes, yes, sir.
I don't agree with Patrick, but I don't have the lawyer title, but in looking at this, in the actual drought proclamation, it says that you have to enact the ban 20 days prior to the holiday. Okay? In this 62C 8.1L, it says, it identifies when permissible fireworks may be sold, not used. So it just says that they can be sold here. Granted, it does not identify the actual holiday in which they can be used, but that's where we disagree. And I know I had a conversation with Mrs. Price last week when she saw it, and it brought back memories.
And that's not the only thing we disagree on.
Yes, that's not the only thing we disagree on, but I wanted you to hear his side, even though I don't agree with it. It's just, this is just something that has come up. And, in years past, yes, we've been able to enact the ban in plenty of time to help vendors make, decisions before they went ahead and ordered. But I did, I think it was last week. I actually had another local person contact who does sell fireworks, and they asked, well, what's going to happen with the city? And as I told them, well, we have the last day that we can do and make a decision would be this meeting tonight. And we did not know with the current drought indices what it was going to be, but we would be able to give a firm and fast decision as far as this is what if we have a drought proclamation or not.
So with the way Patrick explained it, you're saying, Patrick, you recommended that they could sell we'll allow them to sell it. It's according to that state law deal you just.
Well, what I'm saying is, the statute language that Terrence had talked about enacting the ban 20 days prior to a holiday for which fireworks may be sold, right? And so it says, and so we say, well, it's obvious that the holiday is the 4th, so we're more than 20 days before the 4th. But if you look at the statute right before that, and then, I don't know. So that's if you look at Part L. It says permissible fireworks may be sold at retail between June 20 and July 6th.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, when you talk about a holiday and the fireworks sales, I think you'd refer back to that and saying, they don't specifically say it's July the 4th. They're talking about a period of time. But on other dates that come up, as opposed to the 4th of July, they list specific, they don't say Independence Day and Chinese New Year, Cinco de Mayo, and New Year's Day. So there's a distinction between how they describe that. So I'm not saying that you have to. I'm saying there's a different interpretation. That's my interpretation. And what that leads me to believe is that you would have to make that decision within 20 days of June 20th.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's not drought conditions or it's not a risk. I'm looking at one particular part of that as far as.
And I think that's what we've done before. That's what I'm getting at. I think we've done that before.
Right.
We did it way early, and then we just waited on the rains if they're going to come or not. I mean, I think I recall us doing. I don't know if it was with James or with Pat.
But enacting it early, we still have to have the.
Right. If I may clarify, Mayor, the reason this hasn't been brought to you is because we weren't in the drought.
Right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we legally couldn't enact one just
Okay.
saying we're anticipating a drought. I mean,
Gotcha.
you have to actually have the data on that date that indicates we're in severe drought or severe restraint.
Are we legally obligated to enact the drought or the ban if we have the drought?
Mayor and Commissioners, I would say probably not. I did talk to Lorenzo with the county, who runs the fire marshal's office over there, to find out if they were going to be enacting a drought proclamation based on the data. And he did advise he was going to talk to the county manager about it, but I have not seen an agenda that would indicate that unless they have a meeting on the 14th, which I haven't seen any notice of a special meeting yet, the 14th.
Chief? So you're recommending that we enact it, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Have a roll call vote on that one, Anna, please.
Sure. Commissioner Sanchez?
Aye.
Commissioner Butcher?
No.
Commissioner Campos?
Just a second. What exactly are we voting on is what I need. The motion was to approve the
To approve the agenda.
ban? To enact the ban?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Commissioner Candy?
No.
Mayor Trujillo?
Yes. We got it. Okay, 3-2. Okay. So the ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we consider accounts payable.
Second.
If I may, your mayor and commission, in the interest of keeping it short, I'll just mention a couple of our big items. However, I was prepared to give this long rendition of everything because I was impressed with myself last time. The short of it is the single largest expenditure we have is on page 1, and you'll look down and you'll see CES for the $542,283. That, of course, was primarily to cover our IPR treatments on the different streets throughout town. And then, of course, our Polk Street improvement project that we have as well. And the second largest expenditure, which was only $46,000, was for Pettigrew and Associates. And of course, that's for our preparation and planning that they're doing related to our Polk Street improvements, the 17th and Jefferson, and the Love and Washington streets. And if you have any questions, I'm available to answer them.
Number 2 on the first page, American equipment.
Yes, sir. The American equipment expenditures were primarily from our wastewater department, and they had a situation with the case loader that needed to be repaired, and also a wash and vacuum truck that needed some repairs.
Griffin Automotive, diesel automotive, something 5,730.
Yes, sir. Just one moment. I'll get to that page.
It's on the first page.
My details on a later page. What was the name of the Griffin Diesel?
Yes.
Yeah, our primary reasons for those expenditures are related to a couple of ambulances that needed some repair. One of them that actually needed a new rear end.
Gary, the payment to SWAT, are we having issues with computers anywhere?
No, actually, in this particular case, this payment was because the finance department, I'm trying to keep us with machines that are capable of our online use of our hosted software. And one of our machines in the finance department was running very slowly, so this is to upgrade that particular computer. That computer, though, is 5 years old that we're upgrading.
We're still keeping a good tight budget, even though we got a little money.
I'm very thankful to say that, yes, we're doing well. And obviously, one of the primary reasons is because of the upturn in oil prices, really helping our GRT a lot.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? How much is it helping them now?
I can't give you specific details, but what I can tell you is we've exceeded our projections, and our projections were very conservative. And I want to say that we're going to exceed them by, is it $1 million? Which is fantastic. You know, when you consider that we were only projecting, I want to say it was $6.5 million, so now we're going to be pulling it at over $7.5 million. That's a huge benefit for this fiscal year. And then obviously our projections in the next fiscal year, we remain very conservative for our next budget. We didn't want to get overboard. But if this trend continues the way it is, we're still going to do much better, come out much better in this next fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, one more. There was a record service. What did we wreck?
Wasn't mine.
That started with a W? I didn't remember seeing a record.
It was 537 J&K.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Commissioner, that's the grass rig that we had go down on a grass fire that we had to have towed to an electric company to rewire it.
Any other questions?
So the interstate contract, and that was what they're paving on these streets that we've been doing? That was 9,000 something?
No, sir. The interstate contract, okay.
That is actually material for the street department, isn't it, interstate?
No, it was actually, Commissioner and Mr. Sanchez, it was the Polk Water Tower overflow.
That's right.
It was the down tube. We had to extend the overflow on the Polk Water Tower down to 18 inches at ground level for state drinking water bureau regulations. And this was the company that came in and they had hired a crane and extended the 10-inch main overflow line down to the creek.
Okay.
Anybody? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Turn further discussion, anybody like to say before we close? This meeting, do I have a motion?